Morningside Park, as one walks out of a cell into a free and spacious world. One or two landladies refused her with an air of conscious virtue that she found hard to explain. "We don't let to ladies," they said. She drifted, via Theobald's Road, obliquely toward the region about Titchfield Street. Such apartments as she saw were either scandalously dirty or unaccountably dear, or both, and some were adorned with engravings that struck her as being more vulgar and undesirable than anything she had ever seen in her life. Ann Veronica loved beautiful things, and the beauty of undraped loveliness not least among them. But these were pictures that did but insist coarsely upon the roundness of women's bodies. The windows of these rooms were obscured with draperies, their floors a carpet patchwork. The china ornaments on their mantels were of a class apart. After the first onset, several of the women who had apartments to let said she would not do for them, and in effect dismissed her. This also struck her as odd. About many of these houses hung a mysterious taint as of something weakly and commonly and dustily evil. The women who negotiated the rooms looked out through a friendly manner as though it was a mask, with hard, defiant eyes. Then one old crone, short-sighted and shaky-handed, called Ann Veronica dearie, and made some remark, obscure and slangy, of which the spirit rather than the words penetrated to her understanding. For a time she looked at no more apartments, and walked through gaunt and ill-cleaned streets, through the sordid underside of life, perplexed and troubled, ashamed of her previous obtuseness. She had something of the feeling a Hindu must experience who has been into surroundings or touched something that offends his caste. She passed people in the streets and regarded them with a quickening apprehension. Once or twice came girls dressed in slatternly finery, going toward Regent Street from out these places. It did not occur to her that they at least had found a way of earning a living, and had that much economic superiority to herself. It did not occur to her that save for some accidents of education and character, they had souls like her own. For a time Ann Veronica went on her way gauging the quality of sordid streets. At last, a little way to the northward of Euston Road, the moral cloud seemed to lift, the moral atmosphere to change. Clean blinds appeared in the windows, clean doorsteps before the doors, a different appeal in the neatly placed cards bearing the word "Apartments" in the clear, bright windows. At last, in a street near the Hampstead Road, she hit upon a room that had an exceptional quality of space and order, and a tall woman with a kindly face to show it. "You're a student, perhaps?" said the tall woman. "At the Tredgold Women's College," said Ann Veronica. She felt it would save explanations if she did not state she had left her home and was looking for employment. The room was papered with green, large patterned paper that was at worst a trifle dingy, and the armchair and the seats of the other chairs were covered with the unusual brightness of a large patterned chintz, which also supplied the window curtain. There was a round table covered, not with the usual tapestry cover, but with a plain green cloth that went passably with the wall-paper. In the recess beside the fireplace were some open bookshelves. The carpet was a quiet drugget and not excessively worn, and the bed in the corner was covered by a white quilt. There were neither text nor rubbish on the walls, but only a stirring version of Belshazzar's Feast, a steel engraving in the early Victorian manner that had some satisfactory blacks. And the woman who showed this room was tall, with an understanding eye and the quiet manner of the well-trained servant. Ann Veronica brought her luggage in a cab from the hotel. She tipped the hotel porter 6d, and overpaid the cabman 18d, unpacked some of her books and possessions, and so made the room a little homelike, and then sat down in a by no means uncomfortable armchair before the fire. She had arranged for a supper of tea, a boiled egg and some tinned peaches. She had discussed the general question of supplies with the helpful landlady. "And now," said Ann Veronica, surveying her apartment with an unprecedented sense of proprietorship, "what is the next step?" She spent the evening in writing. It was a little difficult. To her father and, which was easier, to the Widgetts. She was greatly heartened by doing this. The necessity of defending herself and assuming a confident and secure tone did much to dispel the sense of being exposed and indefensible in a huge, dingy world that abounded in sinister possibilities. She addressed her letters, meditated on them for a time, and then took them out and posted them. Afterward she wanted to get her letter to her father back in order to read it over again, and, if it tallied with her general impression of it, rewrite it. He would know her address to-morrow. She reflected upon that with a thrill of terror that was also, somehow, in some faint remote way, gleeful. "Dear old Daddy," she said, "he'll make a fearful fuss. Well, it had to happen somewhen, somehow. I wonder what he'll say." End of chapter 5.